Alright guys, welcome back to Evil Intoxicated, episode number 56. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. The guy above me is the infamous one, Ted Czech. What's going on, Ted?
Eddie, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just a crazy week. I don't know if you caught UFC Rotterdam, but a lot better than most people expected. I don't know what the number turnout was to be, but I got a lot of questions about Sept and Struve. Me and you were talking about it last week. We're going to be getting into that, and there's so much that is going on in the world. But you know what? It's time to step away from that all and talk a little bit about MMA, catch our listeners up with what's been going on in the MMA world. So there's been some rumors about Kavanaugh saying Diaz is next. UFC 215 main event predictions we're going to be talking about. Overeem accepts Ngannou's challenges. And of course, we're going to be rubbing up on Tough 26. Why or why not you've been watching and why I've been watching. And there's been some numbers that have been coming out which kind of shocked me. And I got to ask you about, maybe why you haven't been tuning in. And I'm going to tell everybody why I have been tuning in, why this season's pretty good. Ted, what have you been up to, brother?
Dude, I've just been working, hanging out with the family. We're kind of in a little bit of a lull because my kids play lacrosse, but there's been a little bit of a break, then it's going to ramp up again. Got some people here in the chat room. Marquez Butler. What's up? And Benno Mayuru. Yo, Ted, shout out from 671 Guam. Much love and respect. Yeah. Guam.
It's from Guam. Did you ever see Rat Race?
We love Guam.
Pierced.
So yeah, I've just been doing my thing, covering the news, all the crazy crime that goes on here in South Central PA. But yeah, I'm ready to talk some MMA. This is, like you were saying, this is like an escape. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of crazy crap going down in the world. This is a little bit of an escape from all that. Just talk some MMA and have some fun.
You know what, Ted? I think the right place to start on this is the first topic about Kavanaugh. And I know that there's probably so many people out there that are sick and tired of hearing about Conor McGregor news. There's so many other great fighters out there that we could be talking about. But the top interest in our sport right now in 2017 is, of course, Conor McGregor. So let's start the show off right there. The big question that we were talking about last week was, what's next for Conor McGregor? We shot out some good ideas, but what we really came down to is the money fight, which is what probably Conor's looking for, is within Nate Diaz. So what's been some of the news that you've been hearing going around that Coach Kavanaugh's been saying?
Right, yeah, his coach John Kavanagh was quoted as saying, and it was only, I think it was like earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday. He said if he had his way, if Kavanagh had his way, he would choose Nate Diaz. He says it's time to have the trilogy, time to have the rubber match. They both have a win against each other. Let's settle this thing once and for all at 155. But then the other thing that he said, the caveat to that was, you know what, I don't really see Conor fighting before year's end, which really bummed me out. And I'm sure it bums everybody, a hell of a lot of people out, because those who care. I'm thinking December, right? I mean, I think you and I talked about this, right?
That's what Dana said, right?
Yeah, and maybe that's wishful thinking. Maybe that's Dana kind of floating an idea Conor's way. End the year with a bang. The UFC tries to do that. They try to have a pretty decent December card, end the year off that way. And maybe he was trying to to kind of say something to Conor. But Kavanaugh was saying, well, geez, Conor's on a vacation right now. I think it was like a destination wedding that he went to, and he was partying somewhere.
It looked beautiful. I don't know if everyone else saw it on the Instagram, but living the life out there. There's like one picture that D. Devlin took, Conor's girl. It's Conor, D. Devlin, and in the middle, like on his own seat, is Conor Jr., just like chilling with his sunglasses on. Just like total paradise.
Little boss baby.
Yeah, little boss baby.
And did you see the one where he's got the fire extinguisher and he's like, say hello to my little friend?
But I didn't see that. It's great.
Was shooting off a fire extinguisher like inside a bar or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But you know what, Ted? Oh, I'll let you finish.
Just finish the thought real quick. Kavanaugh is saying, hey, look, he's on vacation right now, but even if he were to start training, there's a lot that goes into it, so we just don't think we're going to be able to get it going and have him ready by the end of the year. To me, that means Conor's going to be drinking a lot of whiskey and smoking a lot of cigars living the life. So it's going to take him a little while to get back into contest shape.
Well, he was just in this big fight, which was surprisingly on short notice. We talked about that as well. Like, they didn't really take much time getting ready for this, especially since it was one of the biggest fights that he might ever have, probably will ever have, or that we'll even ever see. Well, I don't even know if I should say that, but just like the spectacle that it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
So you brought up a great point, Ted. It's like, there's a lot of people that are going to be upset if Conor doesn't return for this year. What are the reasons why people are upset? Well, what other stars do we have to really look forward to? Well, there's UFC 218 that's going down in December. I don't think it has any headliners on there. So there still is the possibility of that could happen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you got GSP versus Bisping coming up. That's in November, right?
Yeah, November.
I mean, John Jones is held up, because of the whole USADA thing. He might be held up for 4 years, if some people have their way, but if that's the way the case goes. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Ronda looks like she's going to join the WWE.
We have to talk about that too. Some cringe work there.
She's recently married too. She's going to start popping out kids with Travis Brown. Plus, she's probably going to be a pro wrestler. Yeah, you're right. Where are the stars? We need to start bringing some up from the bottom, you know what I'm saying?
Well, since we're on that topic, Ted, the loss of Ronda Rousey, it looks like to us right now, because there was that clip that surfaced of Ronda, which is allegedly joining the UFC, allegedly joining the WWF, or WWE, whatever the crazy kids call it these days. And it was a possibility, like, would you be interested in seeing that? Well, a clip emerged this week of Ronda Rousey talking about Shayna Baszler, and 3 women approach her, and it was the worst acting I've ever seen. Ever. Did you see this clip?
Yeah. I did a video on it, man. It was, you know what I mean? It's just cringeworthy. Really bad. I made a meme and I said, it's time to bring bad acting to sports entertainment. I mean, as if the acting wasn't, because they do skits, as if the acting wasn't bad enough. And there are pro wrestlers that are better actors than she is. Let's put it that way.
Here's the thing. I'm a big Ronda fan. I know that was cringeworthy. I'll admit it. It really was. I was like, this is just god awful. But here's my thing. Maybe this is what Ronda's doing. Maybe this isn't the end of Ronda Rousey. Maybe to her, it seems like she lost her spark. There's so many people out there saying that she doesn't look like she's got that fire anymore since she lost to Holly Holm. What's been bothering her? Maybe she's trying to, I don't know if you read her documentary, but I'm sure you know that as she was a little girl, she was a huge fan of WWE, WWF. Her godfather was Ric Flair. Or no, Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper,
Maybe
yeah.
She's trying to get that spark back.
By getting into pro wrestling?
Well, to find what she truly loved about combat sports, what really got her into it.
Sorry, it's just Benno was asking us. He might have missed the segment that we were just talking about. He's saying, "What's next for our boy McGregor?" And I said, "I'm thinking Diaz 3." So just to recap that real quick.
Yeah, we were just saying, Ted, what other stars do they really have if Conor doesn't return before December?
I don't know, dude. I mean, I got to tell you though, real quick. I did a video about Kevin Lee. Now that guy's jacked, right? And so he had some of those bumps on his abdomen, which do show up in pro bodybuilders. So I was just asking the question. I wasn't accusing him, but I was saying, those bumps, are we talking about, human growth hormone or something like that? And I got a shit ton of people jumping down me. So Kevin Lee is a star in the making. He has a growing fan following. He's following in Conor's footsteps. He knows how to promote himself.
He's only 23 too.
23, 24. I mean, either you love the guy and you want to see him knock somebody out, or you want to see somebody knock him out. It's like one or the other. He's really a polarizing guy, So maybe he's a star in the making.
It could be, and if he beats Tony Ferguson, that's a step in the right direction. That's for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he'll have the interim belt, because that's for the lightweight. That fight is for the lightweight belt, the interim lightweight belt.
Also,
yeah, go ahead.
Also in that division, you have someone like Justin Gaethje coming up in the ranks, who's going to be fighting Eddie Alvarez. I'm excited for the light heavyweight division, what's going to happen there. But Conor has to defend the title, so these are some of the people that he's potentially going to have to fight.
Right. Right. So let's get it started. I say December, but anyway. So that was just a recap of what we just talked about, and then we were moving on to what did we? Oh, we were talking about Ronda real quick. Yeah, because Ronda in the WWE.
Yeah, you know what? I was saying maybe she's trying to get that resurgence, trying to find that spark again for herself. But would you want to see Ronda Rousey return? Do you guys want to see Ronda return, or do you think that this is the end of it? That after the Amanda Nunes fight, it's just not going to be the same for her?
Well, here's the thing. The person that comes to mind when I think of a similar situation is Ken Shamrock. Ken Shamrock had a great career in Pancrase and then in the UFC. He then left the UFC and he was in the WWE, or actually back then it was the WWF, for about 3 years. When he came back, there he is.
Right there.
I've got one at work. I've got a Ken Shamrock figure like that at work, except he just has the little wrestling tights on. But anyway, I always thought he should have been The Rock, not Dwayne Johnson should not have been The Rock. Ken Shamrock should have been. But anyway. Shamrock, by the time, after 3 years in WWF, the sport had passed Ken Shamrock by. And I think that might already be the case for Ronda. So if she were to leave and then try to come back, she would find that even more so the case.
That's a really good point, Ted. That's a really good point.
I immediately thought, Ken Shamrock, you know what I mean? And there were other guys that did that too. Don Fry left MMA, went to pro wrestling. A bunch of guys did that, and then tried to come back with Tank Abbott. Tank Abbott did the same thing,
Also ending on the before we move on here, ending on the Conor McGregor thing, there were people saying that there's a possibility that Conor McGregor might have suffered some sort of brain damage in the Mayweather fight. Did you hear those headlines?
Yeah, it was I think it was like a mild concussion.
Which I'm not surprised. He got TKO'd.
Right. No, I mean he got hit those last couple rounds. Floyd really turned it up, and he got his brain rattled. That's for sure. And they kind of made a big deal about it, but I'm not. I think it was just because the fight was so high profile. I mean, I think that fighters probably suffer more concussions than we know about, and either we just don't find out about them. They just go unreported. I mean, matter of fact, today I was talking with somebody I was talking with people on SureDog, and they brought up Gary Goodridge.
Yes.
You look at Gary Goodridge, the guy's got CTE now. He's what else do they call it? It's brain damage essentially from fighting.
Yeah.
And pugilistica dementia, or dementia pugilistica, whatever. But anyway, you look at his record. Like he lost his last 12 kickboxing bouts and his last 8 MMA fights. And in MMA, the last 4 were all TKOs, and in kickboxing, half of the 12 that he lost were either knockouts or TKOs. So I mean, there's probably, I'm just guessing here, just totally guessing, but I would bet you there's a lot more concussions than we ever know about in mixed martial arts.
And it doesn't surprise me with him, especially. I interviewed him a few months back, actually about a year ago now, and he started to have seizures. Like, I interviewed him a week after he had a seizure on a plane. He told me that he was urinating himself, and it's just how embarrassing it is to be suffering from this. You're really trying to raise awareness to, being safe in there. But there's some people that have backlash on Gary for that one fight that he had where he gets the guy in the crucifix position and just starts going crazy with the elbows.
Right. Yeah. That was amazing. The backstory with that was he's from Canada, and he had only been training in that art for about a month or so. It's called Kuk Sul Wan. It's from Korea, I believe. And he said, I want to, I'm going to enter the UFC. And they're like, oh, great, you can represent us. Here you go. You're a black belt. So they put me and they made him a black belt. And I mean, the guy just was a freak as far as his athletic ability and his, just his knockout power. He didn't really have, he wasn't a really skilled guy, but he was, somebody compared him kind of more modern times, Rumble Johnson. It was like a Rumble Johnson, the way that he could just touch you and knock you out. But, get him on the ground, and he was kind of a fish out of water.
comparing to him, like you were saying that he's had 8 losses in a row, 12 in kickboxing and whatnot. I was also talking with him about, and this might be go for the same thing with Ronda, if she's planning on returning. He had this desire to get back in there and just end it with one win. You don't think Ronda would do something like that? Like that desire to eat away? Look at BJ Penn. He just wants to get back in there. Hasn't won since like 2012, 2013. Just wants that one last win. This goes for a lot of fighters in there. But yeah, when it gets to the point where you're losing match after match, you got to second guess yourself, especially if you're getting knocked out the way Ronda has or Gary has, or BJ has. You got to be careful at that point in your career. Is my point.
Yeah, no, and maybe she does. There's probably part of her. I think you're right. That probably part of her says, I'd just like to end it with a win. I'd like to go out with a bang, end it with a win, and just ride off into the sunset. And then there might be another part of her that says, you know what? I could lose again, and I don't know if I can bear doing that because, loss to Holly Holm was terrible. Then the loss to Nunes, you know what I mean? The unthinkable happened again, at least in her mind,
even quicker.
What's that?
And it was even quicker, 48 seconds.
Right, so she's probably wrestling with, because she probably can't bear another loss, 2 was hard enough.
So then, Ted, we have Diaz on the other end of all of this, who's just sitting there, sitting back. But the same goes for him, man. He hasn't fought since this time last year. So if we're looking all the way into 2018 already, we're going to be going on looking almost at 1.5, almost 2 years since last time Nate fought. Do you think it would be smart of him to get back in there, hearing this news that Conor might not return this year? What do you think's going through his head? Do you think he'll call out the winner of Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson, or what does he do? What does Nate Diaz do in this situation?
He's going to kick back and smoke more trees. He knows that if he fights Conor for the third time, like the first time they fought, I think the numbers bear out, right? The first time they fought, I don't know what they were.
I think it was 3 million.
Second time they fought, it was even better, right? I think.
Or maybe not 3 million.
So then the third time is going to be the biggest, baddest fight between the 3 of these guys. He knows that. He knows, and one of his coaches or his manager or somebody was saying, look, he's gonna sit at the table and he's gonna ask for between 20 and 30 mil.
Yes, that was big headline this week.
He expects to get. So if he fights in between, and God forbid he loses, his value goes down. So he's just gonna kick back. He knows that he's the best person out there to fight Conor, right?
It's true.
He's the guy that is going to make the most money. That's the 2 that you want to have, dance together, so to speak. Khabib, it ain't gonna be Khabib. He can't really. Well, the only place he can draw a dime is in Russia. Otherwise, not so much, right?
Yeah.
Kevin, like I said, he's on the rise. Not quite at the level of popularity as Diaz, or not nearly. And same thing with Tony Ferguson. So Diaz knows his worth, and he knows he's the man to fight Conor. So he's just going to kick back and wait. He's playing the game.
Here's the other thing with the Diaz brothers that we all know, that we've been following them for years now, even before Nathan was even in the UFC. Diaz brothers are always staying active no matter what they're doing outside of the octagon. They're usually running triathlons. They're always staying busy. They're always staying fit.
Yeah, it's so crazy though. I know some people say, oh well, weed, it's not that bad or whatever. It's just so crazy how they can be so involved in healthy things and then do this. I don't know. Hey, look, I mean,
it's a little weed.
It is it does affect your brain and
smoking it before a fight though, like Diaz does, is a little crazy.
Right. And there are USADA has laid out this is why you can't, it alters certain things in your body, and it's a foreign substance in your body. But I mean, beyond that, I mean, you certainly don't want to be impaired, like smoke it and then drive, or even smoke it like the Diaz brothers.
I love smoking and driving.
Smoke and then ride your bicycle for 20 miles or whatever. You don't want to do that. You won't get far. But, so I think he's just going to play the waiting game.
You know what? On top of it all, Ted, it's the smartest thing to do. That's the only fight, really, that people want to see Conor fight next. It's really, what is he going to do? Well, defend the title or move up at weight class. The fight with Nate Diaz makes the most sense. And he will be defending the title on top of it all. So 2 birds with 1 stone, right?
Yeah, that's what he's stipulated. Conor has said that. Look, we fought at 170. I lost. We fought at 170 again. Fair play. I wasn't going to try to fight him at a different weight. I fought him at 170 and I beat him. So that's finished. We're done with that. Now I have a title. It's 155. He needs to come to 155 and fight me. And the thing is, Nate doesn't really have much of a defense there because he fought most of his career at 155. Yeah, he's jumped up to 170, but mainly he was a lightweight for most of his career.
So
Marquez Butler saying Woodley versus Khabib would be fucking amazing. It would be. It would be. And maybe Khabib, that's what he needs to do, because he's been having some trouble, making the 155. All the jokes about the tiramisu, and when he tried to fight Ferguson before and he had to be rushed to the hospital, that whole secret Russian deal or whatever. They didn't tell Dana White until a couple hours afterwards. All that. So maybe he needs to consider welterweight.
Since Maia couldn't get a takedown, do you think that Khabib would be able to get a takedown over Woodley? That would be interesting. I like that. That would be an interesting fight.
Yeah, I think that Khabib has a better wrestling base than Maia. Maia's a BJJ guy who learned takedowns, but I think Khabib, has that sambo background, and he can. They also do throws from the top too, like Greco-Roman.
Yep.
He could shoot in low, or he could try to take him down from up high.
Didn't he get like 20 takedowns in one fight? What fight was that he had like 20 takedowns in one fight? You remember that?
Oh, Khabib?
Yeah.
Oh, I forget what one that was.
Are you looking it up right now?
No, T Woo is asking why intoxicated, and I said it's IntoxicaTED, like me, Ted. So I had to tell him why that was.
All right, so if there's any more questions for this, make sure you get them in the chat room. If not, if you listen to this on the podcast, audio version on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, wherever you listen to this, make sure you follow us on Twitter and get back to us on there with your questions or answers at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Follow Ted as well at Ted Czech. That's TEDCZECH. Now, Ted, before we move on any further, I just want to ask you about Stefan Struve. We don't got to talk about any other fight on there. I think that we've done a lot of that on Twitter this week. But the question is Stefan Struve done? What's next for this guy? He's lost 3 in a row now. His opponent retired Roy Nelson in his last fight. Do you see Stefan Struve coming back in? What do you see next for Stefan Struve? This was a big question. What Stefan Struve's going to show up? He didn't look bad, but he lost by TKO once again. What's next?
I picked him to win. I really underestimated Volkov. And, somebody was saying, and I'd have to check it, but Struve has been knocked out six times in the UFC. That's a lot. That's a lot of times to be knocked out.
That's how that division goes.
What's that?
That's how that division goes. You're getting knocked out or knocking someone else out.
Well, no, that's true. These are heavyweights we're talking about and 4-ounce gloves. So, no, good point. So I just don't know. I don't know. I'm not one. You and I, we don't tell fighters when it's time to retire. That's a fighter's decision. But I don't know, man. Definitely somebody lower than Volkov. You know what I mean?
He just had heart surgery not too long ago, too, Stefan.
Oh yeah, and it looked like he was going to retire, and then he was cleared medically. So, we'll just have to see. I haven't heard anything since that time, so I think I don't know what to think other than his medical problems are behind him, but still his chin is highly suspect. But as far as Volkov, we've got ourselves somebody who's climbing the ladder here, and people are talking about on the message boards, him versus Ngannou, and Volkov could be the next guy to challenge Stefan Struve, and maybe that's a good way to get into that whole Reem versus Ngannou thing if you want.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I mean, Alistair Overeem, he's been lobbying for a fight against Stefan Struve. I mean, we know he lost to not Stefan Struve, excuse me, Stipe Miocic. Miocic. He's been he wants a rematch with Miocic after getting knocked out by him, and then Ngannou was supposed to fight JDS at it was supposed to be, was it this weekend? It was supposed to be 215,
UFC
right?
215.
Yeah, JDS gets popped for roids. So Ngannou is like, oh, who do I fight? I mean, Ngannou wants Miocic as well, and so then Reem but then he challenged Overeem, and Overeem says something to the effect of, oh, you know what? I see that somebody's trying to cut in line. Well, I'm not going to let that happen. So sure, I'll take the fight.
And that makes sense. That's perfect. You beat Overeem, and then your title shot right there. And that's the fight I really want to see, Ted. Stipe versus Francis, and I think Francis takes him. I really do.
Wow, look at that. I mean, so you think he's going to get past Overeem though?
That's another question. That's a complete other question. I don't know about that. That's a tough one. I favor him beating Stipe more than I beating Overeem, honestly. Because listen, here's my defense for that, Ted. Even though Overeem lost his last fight against Stipe, and then after that, who did he fight after he had that title shot against Stipe?
Oh God, he beat somebody.
Else. But my point being here, while you look at that up, is in 2016, Overeem looked phenomenal. He had that fight in UFC Rotterdam. He said, "I'm bringing the belt back here," and then it set him up for that title shot. He didn't look bad in the title fight either against Stipe. He rocked Stipe early on in that fight, and then it went all downhill after that. So, Stipe, Overeem, even though he lost the last title fight, he's been looking phenomenal. And there's people out there like, oh, USADA stepped in. None of that. I think Overeem looks great stepping in the octagon. It's just a couple things that he needs to, figure out to, get that title win and step in the right direction, is beating a rising star like Francis Ngannou.
Right. Yeah, so I'm looking here at his record. Yeah, he lost to Stipe Miocic. Then there was a win over Mark Hunt by knockout.
There you go.
And then most recently Verdum by majority decision. So kind of just slipping past Verdum. That was a pretty uneventful fight, wasn't it?
Yeah, I forgot about that fight.
If I remember correctly, it was kind of a shitty fight. Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 wins in a row. He's now known as Econo-Reem because he's fighting smarter. He's apparently off the juice.
Uber-Reem.
He was Uber-Reem was when he was on the juice, and he was probably cutting to get to 265. So now he appears to have he's kind of slimmed down a bit, but his belly's kind of grown a little bit. So it looks a little bit more natural, is what I'm trying to say. We all get a little bit of a belly when we get older. It just happens.
Or if USADA steps forward.
What's that?
Or if USADA walks in the door.
Right. So yeah, no, I mean, I think this is a pivotal fight right here. That you with Ngannou, who's on a 5-fight win streak, and Overeem, who's already challenged for the title but then bounced back with 2 wins. The winner probably does fight Stipe Miocic, and I don't know. I'm a Stipe guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
he's Polish.
He's Croatian, but close enough. Eastern European, I guess. But I mean, you talk about Overeem hitting him pretty hard. True, but he was able to bounce back from that. So he's got some resilience there. He's got some toughness, and he's pretty damn accurate with his punches. Plus, he's got the wrestling in his back pocket. I like to say, does he do many kicks? I don't recall. He's more of just a boxer.
Stipe?
I like to see him, Stipe Miocic.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about Overeem. I was like, what?
No. I was talking about Stipe.
Yeah.
I mean, wrestling, and he's more of a boxer, but I like to see him work some kicks in. Maybe that's Ngannou's kryptonite. He's got to figure out, how to beat the guy, because I mean, Ngannou could just knock him out with one punch. So he does have to be careful.
I love this, Ted. This weight division is finally stepping forward, getting spicy once again. It was stale for a little while. We were out there. It was just getting stale. We saw a lot of people go over to Bellator, and then we see a lot of new rising stars coming in. I'm loving it. I'm loving where the heavyweight division is heading right now. That fight gets me so excited to see Overeem versus Francis Ngannou, potential Stipe versus Francis. I'm excited for this. I can't wait. The heavyweights is where it's at.
You're pumped. Hey, I was just looking at the chat room here. So let's see. Some people want to see Robbie Lawler versus Conor. Marquez Butler says Conor versus Robbie.
Conor brought that up not too long ago. Even Robbie Lawler was talking about that fight. He was like, I would take his soul. Oh my God.
See, I was thinking that Conor was soul. Conor loves belts, right? Give me your belts. Give me your belts. He loves belts. So I figured he was gonna try for Tyron Woodley's belt because they already kind of had that heat in
backstage,
where was it?
And at the presser.
So you've already got a storyline there, you know. So I figured, he's gonna go for another belt, go for 170, and I think his precision, you know, how's he say? Precision beats power, timing beats whatever the hell he says. But I wouldn't mind seeing that at some point, McGregor versus Woodley. But then we've got Marquez saying, Robbie, don't go down that easy. Maybe Woodley, but Conor can't handle Woodley. Oh, okay, I see where Marquez is saying Conor wouldn't be able to handle Robbie or Woodley. I think it's
a tough thing. Those are big boys up there. 155. I was shocked what he did to Eddie Alvarez, moving up another weight division. I wouldn't be surprised if Conor does move in that direction though, like we always talk about. The next big thing Conor wants.
Oh, here's some. Mystic Moss is saying, I really feel like Conor. You know, it's always something. It's always something with this guy. He always just brings us right down to it. Like
What'd he say? What'd he say?
Get down to the gutter. I really feel that Conor's penis took all the oxygen away from his lungs in the May Mac fight. Hey, you know, and even Joe Rogan was talking about it. Conor's got a big dick, okay? He's got a big dong. And, I mean, so much for the BBC, right? I mean, you see Floyd, teeny weeny peeny, and Conor thing.
Little pea head. His little pea head.
Right, and he wasn't just talking about this one. So, like, well, it's either that or he just gets a stiffy every time he weighs in. For some reason, he's always.
Or if he wins a fight. I mean, there's been pictures of him on top of the octagon. It was a rock hard. And then, of course, the weigh-ins and stuff like that. If there's people out there that don't know what the hell we're talking about here, it does seem like Conor gets a little excited.
He uses this massive cup, and I mean, are you going to use a cup that big if you can't fill it? You know.
God. How did we get here? Thanks, MMA Hole. Now we're talking about Conor's dick here on.
That's all right.
Intoxicated. Jeez.
I did a live chat on Monday, and it was the same way.
Little pea head.
After about an hour, it just devolves into, oh, hey, Ted, you ever had two women at once? Oh, hey, Ted, you ever done this? You ever done that? You know, that's just the way it goes.
Coming to the city, see what it's like, the single life is like here for Evil Eddie. Get that reality show going.
I'm sure it's very good for you.
Ted, I got some breaking news here coming over on my end. Chris Cyborg gets approved for her boxing license in the state of California. This just coming in on my end via MMA Fighting.
Okay.
California State Athletic Commission approves boxing license for Chris Cyborg. What's she up to?
We know that the UFC they got their boxing promoter's license, right? They either applied for it or it was granted to them. I don't know, in Las Vegas. So I kind of, you know what? Now that we've had May Mac, can we just move on? This dalliance, this love affair with boxing, can we get rid of it? You know, that's why I was excited when
I agree.
After it happened, I felt like a sense of relief because I'm like, good, we can get back to MMA, get back to UFC, get back to the sport that we love. Conor can finally defend a belt, maybe, and you know, let's just get back to the MMA because even before May Mac, we were in a drought. We had like three and a half weeks where there wasn't any UFC, you know.
Finally, we're stepping back in there and getting it all done. I do not want to see, and they asked me this. I talked about it last week on our show. I was asked to go on iHeartRadio 960 WELI. They asked me that same question. I said no. We need to step back forward. We're not mixing sports up again. It was just too much. It was It was too much. I'm happy it's all said and done with. Why are we heading this direction again? Is the money there? Is the money there for Chris Cyborg? I don't know. Maybe I would tune in to watch Chris Cyborg step in there in a boxing ring, but let's be real. I want to see her defend her title more than I want to see her box. Come on.
Right. That's just going to take away from training to defend her 145 title. So yeah, I'm not really interested in that either.
All right. So moving forward, Ted. What do we got next? UFC 215 in the spotlight coming on this weekend, headlined by Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson versus
Ray Borg.
Ray Borg. Here's the thing, Ted. People are asking. This is what people want to know. Would this be the biggest upset in UFC history? Here's where I rank it. With what's at stake, with Mighty Mouse about to break the record, if he loses to Ray Borg, yeah, it would be awful. But at the same time, I don't think that's a bigger shocker than when Bisping knocks out Luke Rockhold or what's another one? GSP versus Matt Serra. Yep. What are some other big upsets out there for people who don't know? And where does this rank if this was an upset? Where does this fall in those top three, I guess?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, you just named the probably the top two.
Yeah.
This, I guess you could put this at in the top three.
Well, even Conor versus Nate was an upset, the first fight.
Oh, Nate beating him?
Yeah, people were shocked.
Yeah, there was probably some, but I mean, Nate is just a tough dude.
Chris Weidman knocking out Anderson Silva, that was a big shocker.
There you go. That's a big one. That is a big one for sure. Yeah, I remember that night. I mean, I was taking notes.
Went off in the building I was at.
Yeah, I just threw my notebook on the ground. But I was, I mean, I was happy though. I wasn't angry. I was happy. I was like, holy shit,
I couldn't believe it, man. I couldn't freaking stomach that. I did not see Weidman came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's my boy. That's my boy.
Yeah, his dad. Yeah. But anyway, no, this would rank right up there. This would be, in the, maybe not number one, but it would rank right up there for what you said. Demetrius Johnson is going for the consecutive title defense record. He's tied it already. He's tied with Anderson Silva at 10. So if he beats Ray Borg, he has the record at 11. And of course there was a little bit of controversy because TJ Dillashaw was saying, "I'll fight Demetrius Johnson." Johnson was lobbying for Borg. Johnson wanted to fight Borg. TJ Dillashaw throws his name into the hat, and then you got Johnson saying, "Well," and Dillashaw even said, "I'll come down to 125. He doesn't need to come up to 135." And Johnson's like, "Yeah, but I'm not going to fight you right away. You're going to have to fight another fight first." Because I truly think that Mighty Mouse was concerned that he was going to, I'll say concerned, I'm not going to say scared. He was a little bit concerned that he was going to lose to TJ Dillashaw. He looked at Borg and he said, "You know what, that's pretty much a surefire."
That's in my realm.
It's almost a guarantee win for me. That's a safe fight. Dillashaw, that's a big old question mark. So I don't want to fight him just yet. But my thoughts are, yes, I think he'll win. He'll have the record, and he'll get a modicum of respect for that. But he's never truly going to achieve notoriety. He's never going to truly achieve big money until he fights guys like Dillashaw and Cruz again. That'll be a rematch if he fights him, and Garbrandt. You know what I mean? And he's either going to have to vacate the 125 or somehow get those guys to come down to his weight class.
Once he does get this fight, I wouldn't be surprised if he does then move forward and take a super fight with Dominic Cruz or TJ Dillashaw. That's what he has to do. If he wants to make the money that he wants, that he's been talking about making, listen, this day and age, it's just not good enough to go in there and put on an amazing performance. People want more. People are saying it's the money fight. Is it right? No, it's not right. I don't agree with it at all. I love watching Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson, but the majority of the people out there are not tuning in. We see this on paper. He needs to do something special. He needs he needs to step out of the box. So for some reason, people don't care about the guys who weigh 125. Why? I don't know. They put on exciting fights. They're quick. John Dodson, he did great when he was in that weight division before moving up to bantamweight. People like Joseph Benavidez, Cejudo, I like watching their fights, but something's missing there to the majority. He needs to do something big like that. After he defends the title, I think he'd be more inclined to doing like a super fight with TJ. You make a good point, Ted. He was also bringing up that TJ never made that weight before. That's another thing that concerned him.
He said that. I don't know. I'm a little skeptical. I mean, Dillashaw is a wrestler. He knows how to cut weight. So I'm not so sure I believe that. But you were asking, kind of the riddle of why has he not? Why can't he draw a dime? Yeah. Essentially, right? I mean, I think part of it is, for some reason, people view 125. I know I've said this before, so I apologize for those who are hearing it again. But people look at 125. I mean, it's the lowest weight class, and they look at those guys and they say they're so small. I just can't get into it. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't want to see a dude who's 5'2" fight. It's just not anything that excites anyone. That's one thing, possibly. The other thing is that Mighty Mouse is so far ahead of his competition, he makes it look pretty much easy. He hasn't been in a knockdown, drag-out war, and that's what people want to see. People want to see conflict. People want to see kind of a seesaw battle back and forth. They want to see some competitiveness, if you will. They don't want to see a guy just tearing through somebody, like a hot knife through butter, as they say.
Another thing, Ted, for him, I forgot who brought this up, but I think it was Jeff Wagenheim that brought this up. It's not like Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson came out of nowhere and just started starching dudes. He came over from the bantamweight division where he wasn't doing too good in. He lost to Dominic Cruz, like you just brought up. He wasn't doing that well in the bantamweight division. At least he wasn't looking as good as he does when they opened up the new weight division, which he took part in after beating Ian McCall.
Right, and that I think it was the first fight with McCall. There was one point where McCall had his back.
I still think McCall won the first fight. I really do.
Back mount on him, and he was just, But I think that was right at the end of one of the rounds, and then that ended up being what was that? Was that a draw, or their first fight? I think it was.
I think Mighty Mouse won the first fight. Was it a draw? I don't think it was. Was it?
I don't know, because I remember McCall afterwards talking to Dana White and asking him, "Do I still get my win bonus?" So I forget. I forget that. But anyway, yeah. I mean, going back to Mighty Mouse, yeah. I mean, I think part of it is the weight class. Part of it is he's just so far ahead of. He's head and shoulders above everybody, despite being 5'2". And also his personality. I mean, we know these days it's the fight game. You got to sell yourself. And he would rather be there playing on ditch.
I love Mighty Mouse, man. He's been getting a little evil lately too, Ted.
Not disparaging the guy. If he wants to play video games, great. But then you can't really cry about not getting promoted if you're not out there. You got to promote yourself as well. It's kind of a symbiotic thing. You promote yourself, and the UFC kind of takes note of that and tries to help you.
And what the UFC really does, has tried. They tried, working with him with the Twitch thing. They even set up a season of Ultimate Fighter. How do we get more people to view, and how do we get people to care? They made an entire season of Ultimate Fighter. The winner of that season would fight. We all know what happens there. Nothing's working for him. He has to do something big, the Cody No Love fight. But here we go, September 9th, it's going down. He's going to be fighting Ray Borg, who has an 11-2 record. And in my opinion, Ted, Ray Borg has been looking better and better each fight. Does he have a shot to beat Mighty Mouse? Would this really shock you if Ray Borg did beat Mighty Mouse?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, I haven't studied Ray Borg. I mean, I know he's a skilled fighter, but what does he have? Let me ask you this, Eddie. What does he have that's comparable to Mighty Mouse? What one area maybe is he at least as good as Mighty Mouse in? Striking, wrestling, submissions, clinch work.
Just based off of the last fights that Mighty Mouse has had, you can't even say that he's not good in every single one of those areas. So that's a tough one to say.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say is I don't see any area that he's better. I don't know if I see a pathway to victory for Ray Borg. I mean, puncher's chance, sure, but beyond that, I don't know if I give him much. Clearly Mighty Mouse doesn't. This is the fight that Mighty Mouse wanted.
So were you surprised that this was the headline over Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko? Do you think Valentina Shevchenko versus Amanda Nunes would have brought in more of a pay-per-view number?
Well, it's the co-main, and Dana White said, I'm not surprised because Dana White said, I will never put Amanda Nunes in the main event again because she pulled out at the last minute against Shevchenko, whenever that was. I forget which event it was. She had this mysterious, affliction, if you will, not the T-shirt company, but she, suddenly, and Dana White, and I think, this was one of those times I don't really like it when he trashes people a lot, but he said, hey, look, she was ready. Our doctor said she was cleared. Our doctors cleared her, and then she said she couldn't fight. Now there was something I saw today from her girlfriend. What's her name? Nina Ansaroff?
Nina Ansaroff, yes.
Yeah. Ansaroff said, hey, look, the difference between being champ and being a contender or being just a fighter in the rankings is thousands upon thousands of dollars. She said it's $1 million a year versus $60,000 a year. So if you're only at 50% of your optimum performance level, why would you fight and risk going from $1 million to 60,000? Okay, I can kind of see that. I can kind of see it. However, I'm sure there was a question in her mind, in Nunes's mind, some doubt, right? Like I don't feel 100%, so there's some doubt there. But shit, if you got a title, you got to defend that title.
Hopefully this won't happen again. It was the vertigo thing that was bothering her, which Dana White actually suffers from himself. Something similar to that, where he suffers vertigo himself.
I thought she said she gets infections like
nose infection or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Sinus. She gets a sinus infection when she travels or something. I think wasn't that the story?
Yeah, I forgot the name of I had it written down a little when that story came out. I forgot what it was called, sinotinitis or something crazy like that. I'm an EMT. I don't even know the name of it there. But it surprised me. But then again, it didn't surprise me that it wasn't the main event. But let's be real. Dana White is all about money. Amanda Nunes beating Ronda Rousey, Valentina Shevchenko beating Holly Holm. I mean, that's the fight that you could really headline and draw more people, and I think that Mighty Mouse versus Borg is going to do. I think that would have been the right headliner.
But Dana White's going to stick to his guns. He said he would. I mean, we've seen him waffle. We see him go back on his word all the time. But I guess this time he's gonna stick with what he said. I'm never going to put her in the main event again. And I mean, he knows, he probably has a really, really good idea that Mighty Mouse versus Borg is not going to draw. But I mean, we have other fights on the main card. Like you said, Nunes versus Shevchenko, Magny versus RDA.
Yeah.
Other fights in there.
Ted, really quick before we talk about those fights, the one thing that does concern me as well, which is if people know MMA or know who Ray Borg is, they know that he's like a really good grappler. So you're probably not going to see the most exciting main event. It's probably going to be a lot of grappling there.
It could be, although if Mighty Mouse wants to keep it standing, I think he's going to be able to sprawl out and keep it standing. I think that's what he's going to try to do. He's going to try to keep it on the feet, and
he's so good everywhere, right?
Yeah, he's just going to keep it on the feet and just run circles around him and try to knock him out. You know what I mean? He's just going to be, it's like a pinball, ding, 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 ding,
So, Ted, we got Neil Magny stepping back in there against RDA. RDA needs a win real bad. He does. He's been on the decline lately. 26-9 record going against Neil Magny, 19-6 record. Magny, another guy that just keeps looking better and better as the years go on here, especially in this division of lightweight.
Well, Magny had that 7-fight win streak, if you remember, a while back, and so people were looking at him saying, he might challenge for the title one day, and then just looking at his record, then he ran into a guy named Damian Maia.
Yes.
And props to Magny for taking that fight
on short notice too, right?
I'm not sure about that, but probably, and props to him for taking it. And so he lost that one, so I kind of derailed him a little bit. Then he went on a 3-fight win streak. Eric Silva, Kelvin Gastelum, and Hector Lombard.
That's big, beating Hector Lombard, man. That's huge.
Yep. And Gastelum's looking great these days. And then
that's the fight he took on short notice, Ted, was against Gastelum, and he won.
Yeah, split decision. Then Lawrence Larkin's last fight before going to Bellator, he lost by TKO. Since come back with a win over Johnny Hendricks, so that's where Magny is now. Huge RDA, win. The former lightweight champion RDA, he moved up to welterweight. Let's see here. After losing to Eddie Alvarez, then he had one more fight at lightweight, another loss to Tony Ferguson. Then he jumped up and beat Tarek Safadine. So RDA is coming off of a win as well.
I like that he moved up in weight too. I like him at 170.
I gotta say though, I mean, now Magny's a tall guy, but there's RDA is a relatively short welterweight. Then again, so is Tyron Woodley. Tyron Woodley is what's he, about 5'9"? I think that's what
I would say.
I think that's what RDA is, about 5'9". But I mean, Magny was he like 6'2"?
Tall and lanky, yeah.
Right. Let's see here, 6'3".
Damn. I'm sure they're stretching that one there though. If it's UFC,
they do. Yeah, 80-inch reach. Look at that, 80-inch reach.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, this to me is almost a coin flip, though. I mean, both of these guys are very, very talented, and this will be RDA's second fight in the welterweight division. So, you think he's a little bit more acclimated to it. Heck, he might even walk around at that. I don't know. I don't know how much weight he used to cut, but this could be, or 170 is probably a lot closer to his walk around weight. So he probably doesn't have to endure a really strenuous weight cut.
Remember when Jeremy Stevens knocked RDA out? Do you remember that one?
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
A while ago, when Jeremy Stevens first made an appearance here.
Oh, yeah, you're going back.
Yeah.
2008.
You see it? You see it in there?
UFC 91.
Knocked RDA out cold, man. Cold.
Ooh.
And then Jeremy Stevens runs head first into the cage after the win in that fight.
Oh, man. What a crazy mofo he is.
So also on this card, Jeremy Stevens versus Gilbert Melendez.
Yeah, now that is my pick for fight of the night. That's a fun fight right there. That's two guys that, you know what, they're probably never going to fight for the title again, but who cares? It's two guys that they've been around for a long time. They don't know anything except coming forward and banging. So I'm glad they put that on the main card. They're gonna kick things off, and it's just gonna be downhill from there because they're gonna steal the show, I think.
Also on this card, Ted, Henry Cejudo versus Wilson Hayes. Sarah Moras versus my girl, Ashley Evans Smith. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm rooting for Ashley there, even though correspondent probably shouldn't be rooting for any which fighter, but big fan of Ashley Evans Smith. Also on this card, Gavin Tucker versus Rick Glenn. I'm looking forward to that one. That's a sleeper no one's talking about there. 10-0 Gavin Tucker, undefeated. Rick Glenn, 19-4, coming over here into the UFC, making a big splash. Huge debut for himself, and he's doing pretty good so far on this run here in the UFC. 19-4 record, young gun.
Yeah, I liked Tucker in his debut. He looked really, really good. It's from Nova Scotia, and so it makes sense that they put him on this card because this card's in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And so I've been waiting for Tucker to get his second fight in the UFC because I couldn't think of his name immediately. I'm like, hey, where's that kid? You know that kid? He was a 135er, or well, I guess he's a featherweight, but he looked really good. He kind of had a Garbrandt thing going on with with his cutting angles and his boxing and everything. But this Rick Glenn guy is no joke. He's got like 12 knockouts to his credit.
The Gladiator, Rick
So
Glenn.
I like what you're saying there. That is a fight to watch. But what about going back up to the main card? Tyson Pedro versus Ilir Latifi.
Yes, I think that's the second fight on the main card, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Tyson Pedro undefeated himself, man.
Yeah, he's now see he's only 6-0, but he's I was watching a little documentary on the guy. He's like a lifelong martial artist. I mean, he's been training in various martial arts all his life. He's from Australia, I believe, and or it's he's either Australian or he's New Zealand. No, Sydney, Australia, and so he's been training for a long, long time. But he's only 6-0 overall in his career. You contrast that with Ilir Latifi, who is probably about 10 years older than him and is, let's see, a total of 18 MMA fights. And, Latifi hot and cold in the UFC. He lost to Gegard Mousasi, beat a couple guys, lost again. Wins more than he loses. His last fight was a knee knockout to Ryan Bader.
It's a big win, man.
I'm picking Pedro to win. Vote for Pedro.
Vote for Pedro, yes. He's like the only kid in our school with a mustache.
Yeah.
Shocks, pegs, lucky. Vote for Pedro, man. This is going to be a great card, Ted. I'm interested in what the numbers are going to be coming out from this. Other fights that you guys can look forward to: September 16th in Tedstown, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Luke Rockhold versus David Branch. Also on that card, your boy Perry. He's going to be fighting Thiago Alves, so that's going to be fun. Lombard on there versus Anthony Smith. Usman versus Sergio Morales. Oliver Aubin Mercier versus T. Martin. Jotko on there versus Uriah Hall. September 22nd, Shogun Rua versus OSP. Also on that card, Claudia Gadelha versus Jessica Andrade. I'm looking forward to that. Then October 7th in Las Vegas, Tony Ferguson versus Kevin Lee. Looking forward to that one as well. Also on that card, Verdum versus Derek Lewis. Paige Van Zandt versus Jessica Evil Eye. Nick Lentz on that card against Ill Will Brooks. Then October 21st, we're going all the way to Poland. That fight is to be announced, to be determined. Then October 28th, we're going down to Brazil. Lyoto Machida versus Derek Brunson. November 4th, Bisbing versus GSP MSG. I'm so excited for these upcoming fights, Ted. Finally, the second half of the year, it has some promise to it. Will people fall out? Is the injury bug going to come? I hope not, because there's a lot of great talent coming up in the next couple of weeks here.
Yeah. Hey, I was just looking in on the chat room. We have a guy who tuned into my chat on Monday. His name is Abalu.
Babalu.
Baba. Well, we can call him Babalu. It looks like Baba Shilakui. And I'm told he is writing in Tamil, which I believe is a language in India, maybe? Tamil? But anyway,
sure.
needs to switch to English so that we can understand him, because we're Americans and that's all we speak. And let's see, what else? Yeah, somebody, Marquez. What the fuck is a Baba Shilakui? But anyway.
Ted, you know what? I know who I just interviewed this week? Mohad. Do you know who that is?
No.
You know the guy who makes the UFC funny cartoons? Mohad Foodalot is his name. He makes the funny.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, with the head movement.
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, he did the one with Amanda Nunes as the lioness.
Yep. Or he'll do Tyron Woodley, racist. I just interviewed him this week, so you guys should go check that interview out. Also, big shout out to James Lynch. He became a father this week. Shout out to Flow Combat's James Lynch.
Nice. Congrats.
So, Ted, before we end today's show, I just want to brush up on the Ultimate Fighter Season 26. This is flying so under the radar here. As we reach the hour point, I just want to discuss this with you, because just like a majority of the people out there, this is not getting many views at all. The lowest in Ultimate Fighter history. The debut got almost 300,000 views. That's awful. That is not good. I was joking about it on Twitter, and people thought I was being serious. I was like, oh, 300,000 views. That's great. Like, Ed, what are you talking about? I was like, guys, I'm very aware of the numbers. It just gets lower and lower every year, Ted, by 100,000 less every year.
Because last year they were saying that was the low, or last season, Tough 25, they were saying that was the lowest, right?
Under 500,000 people viewing, yeah.
So now we're even lower than that.
Even lower than that. So, Ted, I got to ask, what are the reasons you think that people aren't tuning into this? One being, which I said immediately, was last Wednesday when the debut happened. We were doing the show. We had no idea the debut even happened. It was in the fog of Maymac.
Where was the promotion for that?
Exactly, man.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, 25, 26 seasons, it's been a great run, but maybe the format is old. You know, maybe people have seen every single thing pretty much that you can do. Like, okay, the fights could be off the charts, like you're saying. You know, you're saying that we're seeing some great fights.
Yeah,
with
the first 2 episodes, amazing fights, finishes too.
The other thing people probably tune in for is you know, all the antics, you know, the pranks and the stuff that goes on in the house. But we pretty much run the gamut on that. We've seen everything that we're going to see. We've seen the nudity and the drunkenness and the drunken nudity in the pool and the smashing the doors and the fighting and, you know, let me bang, bro. I think that was probably the peak right there. Let me bang, bro was probably the best thing that ever happened in that house. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen everything. So I think I really got to catch this. I haven't yet, but I really keep hearing great things about the Dana White Contender Series.
Tuesday Night Contender Series, the Snoop cast and all.
That shit. Well, I don't know about Snoop cast. Don't get me going on Snoop. Don't get me going. I mean, he's going to talk shit about DC.
I was getting pissed, man. I was getting real pissed about it.
Shit about Conor? I don't think so.
But then again, it's Snoop Dogg, so I'm not surprised he's saying this shit. But have some respect to our sport. But yeah, bigger views for Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series only on UFC Fight Pass. Will they be merging because the contract with FS1 is almost up?
Well, yeah, there's going to be. I mean, they could use that as a bargaining chip. They could. They
need something. They need something other than the Ultimate Fighter. It's not working.
Right. They could say, look, we're going to replace it with the Dana White Contender Series.
And the fights are live. People want to see live fights.
Hell yeah. Yeah, they don't want to see taped shit. That's a very good point. We've seen everything we could possibly see in the house, and people want to see live fights. So, yeah, I keep hearing great things about this Tuesday Night Contender Series. Make that the new Ultimate Fighter kind of thing.
And hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they use Snoop Dogg as a bargaining chip with that as well. It comes with Snoop Dogg. It comes with Snoop Dogg.
I don't know, man.
Bash our sport.
Yeah. See, he's turning a lot of people off, I think, and I think I see what Dana White's good friends with him anyway. You've seen that old clip of Dana White on stage with Snoop going, Snoop Doggy Dogg, dog, dog, right? They've been friends for years.
God, Ted.
So I get that, and then when they had that fighter retreat,
Snoop did the concert.
He did a concert there, so it makes sense. Dana White, UFC, they're trying to kind of tap into the hip hop rap culture, kind of trying to bring fans in that way. I get that whole thing, but yeah, as you said, show a little bit of respect for the sport.
Some of the stuff he says is funny, but it's disrespectful, especially. Like, say, for instance, somebody's watching their son fight, and they switch over to Snoopcast, and Snoop Dogg's singing them a lullaby while they're getting choked out, or just boink, boink, and stuff like that. It's going to piss, calling Conor McGregor a pussy, a little bitch. Conor McGregor, you a bitch. Like,
yeah.
Come on, bro. And then at the end, he had, like, a mixed reaction. He was like, no, he cool, though. But Conor McGregor's a bitch. It's like, what, Snoop? What, Snoop? Cut this. Stop this. Stop this.
Yeah, the guy could get snapped in two like a toothpick.
Yeah,
you know
we'll see who the real gangster is if you step inside that cage. And that's another thing. Why don't they, since there's so many people that are outraged, why don't they have Snoop Dogg do like a training camp to show him appreciation for the sport or something?
I think that would go a long way. There's a video I saw years ago of a guy who was really down on cops, and they said, here, come to our training, and they gave him like a fake gun, and they put him through some scenarios. and he really came away with a great appreciation of what law enforcement do. It would be like that. Take Snoop, and I mean, the training center's right there in Las Vegas. Bring him there and put him through some some training.
It'd make a lot of people happy to see that. If you're gonna decide on keeping Snoop Dogg, you need to do something to make the fighters especially feel a little more welcome to have him in there. But yeah, for the Ultimate Fighter, Ted, it's been great so far. I really recommend it. Roxanne Modafferi gets really spotlight here. I'm not gonna ruin it, or I'm not gonna spoil it for anybody, but hopefully you'll watch an episode, Ted, and let me know what you think about it. But
Try.
I like this season a lot better than I've liked the last couple. I think this is almost just as good as season 22 with Conor McGregor versus Faber, if not better so far. Justin Gaethje's Eddie Alvarez as the coaches. There's a lot of familiar faces, beautiful women, not to mention like Rachel Ostovich.
Yeah.
Got Ariel Beck on there. A lot of familiar faces. So let me know what you guys think about this on Twitter. Have you been tuning in? Have you been completely flying under the radar with it? Like a lot of people see him, it really is flying under the radar. It really is.
By the way, Marquez would like me to pronounce Abalu's name again. I believe it's pronounced. I've been brushing up on my Tamil.
I've been brushing up on my Tamil. Never heard that one before.
I've been brushing up on the language of Tamil as you've been talking. Abalu, you're Babashila Kui.
Yeah,
I believe that's the correct pronunciation. Abalu, thank you so much for tuning in. Abalu, you're Babalashika. I think. I believe that is the correct pronunciation for that.
Oh, I see there's a lot of people from all over the world in here. Marquez Butler, Bino Maru. Thank you guys for tuning in. Guys, if you are not watching this live, we do this every Wednesday night, live at 10 p.m. Of course, tonight it is Thursday, about 11 p.m. here. But next week, we're back on schedule, Wednesday night, 10 p.m. Tune in to Ted Czech's YouTube channel live. If you want to tune in with us before you go to bed or whatever you're doing, whatever part of the world you're in, whether you're going to the gym, go to the gym, late night gym, Evil Intoxicated. Put us in your headphones, watch our show while you're on the treadmill. What a great way to pass time and get all your MMA news. Ted, anything else that you want to brush up on before we sign off here?
Oh, Benno Mairu is asking us about Soldier Boy versus Chris Brown. I thought
up in this watch me crank, watch me. Oh, yeah, that fight got called off.
Right. Yeah, it never happened.
That was supposed to be on the Mayweather-McGregor pay-per-view, people were saying.
It was going to be the co-main event or something.
Oh, my God. Thank God that didn't happen. Thank God.
That would have been hilarious.
Ted, we got to get our predictions out for everybody for UFC 215. Just the main and co-main event. Who do you got? Of course, you're probably going to pick Mighty Mouse, but who do you got in the main and co-main event? Or even, RDA versus Neil Magny. And what fight are you most looking forward to before we sign off?
Well, I just had a thought real quick. I bet you Jason Ellis would put that fight on because he has all sorts of freak fights in Las Vegas at Ellis Mania. Get a hold of Jason Ellis. I bet you he will put that Soldier Boy Chris Brown fight on. But anyway, yes, I'm going with Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse by knockout. Valentina Shevchenko by unanimous decision.
Wait, you said Mighty Mouse by a knockout?
Knockout. He's going to knock him out.
Okay.
Going to knock him out. It might take a little while.
Got five rounds to do it.
Fourth or fifth round. Oh, my son's yelling. I hope the Patriots aren't losing.
Oh, God.
Shevchenko, Shevchenko by unanimous decision. She's going to weather the initial Amanda Nunes storm. Like she comes out like Vitor. If you weather the Nunes storm, drag her into deep waters, and then beat her with precision Muay Thai. So Shevchenko with the unanimous decision. Neil Magny, decision win for Neil Magny. Tyson Pedro by knockout. And,
Jeremy
Gilbert
Stevens or Gilbert Melendez?
Melendez by decision.
Ooh. All right, Ted, here. I'm going to run mine down. I got Mighty Mouse by TKO, probably the third or fourth round, like you said. You said fourth or fifth. I got Shevchenko winning by unanimous decision as well. She just gets better as the fight goes on. Nunes, like you said, the oncoming storm there. And they've both fought before. Shevchenko's used to, has prepared herself before with getting ready for Amanda Nunes. She's been training alongside Rose Namajunas as well, which is kind of crazy. Neil Magny versus RDA. I'm going for RDA here. I think RDA is going to finish Neil Magny. People probably might be surprised I'm saying that, but I'm going for RDA there. Latifi versus Pedro. It's another good one. I'm going with Latifi there by knockout in the third. Jeremy Stevens versus Melendez. I'm going with Stevens.
All right.
Knockout in the third.
We got some opposites there, man. We got some, we don't really see eye to eye on a lot of these, Eddie, but that's all right. We'll see who wins.
Sleeper fight though, guys. Make sure you do check out Gavin Tucker versus Rick Glenn. That is on the undercard. I'm telling you.
Yep.
Peek that.
Yep, that would be good. That's the sleeper fight, and then for me, Melendez versus Stevens is going to be fight of the night.
All right, Ted, so we'll be back in here next Wednesday night, and hopefully we'll see another exciting week. I mean, after this whole Maymac thing, it's kind of been like people have been searching for MMA news, but it didn't seem that way towards the end of this week. There was a lot of good headlines coming out. Of course, today's show talking about Chris Cyborg and boxing. We don't want to see that again. The Ultimate Fighter, we got some exciting events coming up, and there's a lot of drama going on in MMA. What's going on with this whole John Jones thing? We'll probably figure that out by next week, so make sure you guys tune in to Evil Intoxicated next Wednesday night. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at evil_echo. That's EVIL_ECCO. Follow Ted on Twitter at TedCzech. That's TEDCZECH. And guys, so simple. You can follow Evil and Intoxicated on Facebook. You'll give our Facebook page a like. You can find our episodes there and also the podcast link. It's all easy access right there. I'm Evil Eddie from Pure Evil MMA. That's TedCzech. We're out. Behave yourselves.